Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Julia Polston with Indiana Constructors, Inc. And today I have Terry Brookie from Frost Brown Todd Law Firm. So thanks so much for joining me today, Terry.
Thanks, Julia. Glad to participate.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and start the conversation off by, going on and telling like your position, what law firm you work for, and how long you've been with that law firm.
Great. Well, my name's Terry Brookie, and I'm with Frost Brown Todd in the Indianapolis office. And I'm one of those rare oddities, Julia, where I've had basically one job my entire life.
Oh, that's a good thing.
In 1981, when I got out of law school with a firm called Lock Reynolds, and continued with them until about 14 years ago. And we merged with Frost Brown Todd at that point in time. So effectively, I've had one job, though several different offices within the office here over the course of my career.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm at Frost Brown Todd. I practice construction law almost exclusively. And I'm also the practice group leader for our firm's construction law practice.
Awesome. Well, if you want to go ahead and also, explain who Frost Brown Todd is. I know you guys practice all kinds of different types of law, so you can go ahead and, explain that. And then also if there's a specific type of law practice that you guys specialize in, but you can go ahead and share who Frost Brown Todd is with everybody.
Sure. Frost Brown Todd has about 520 lawyers spread across 9 states. And as far south as Texas and as far north as Michigan. We are the only office in Indiana, and we go as far east as Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And there is no main office. We have a decentralized management system here, so we don't have a mothership anywhere. Our practice group leaders come from all different offices. We have two inside managing partners. One is from Cincinnati right now, and one is from our Nashville office in Nashville, Tennessee. And the firm basically can do any type of work that comes through the door. Being a full-service firm, we have the capabilities of serving any issue or problem that comes in the door, which is great about working for a larger firm. And that when somebody comes up, for example, the PPP loans, we have a group that deals specifically with that, and so we were able to hook up several construction clients, that group within the law firm to deal with those issues. We have a very robust environmental practice and labor employment practice that we also use with our construction clients on as needed basis.
Oh, wow, you guys do a lot. And I didn't know how far spread out you guys were in the U.S., so that's really awesome to know. I know when people, when I think of law or any type of practicing law, usually in highway construction, that's not the first industry that comes to my mind when I think of a lawyer or an attorney or anything like that. So if you want to share with everyone how you got into the legal side of highway construction and what pretty much has kept you practicing that type of law.
Sure. My mentor at Lock Reynolds was a gentleman by the name of Hugh Reynolds. And when I started, I was a 27th lawyer in 1981. And Hugh had a very robust, besides other practices, practicing surety law. And so he had represented surety clients all over the United States. And so part of my time was spent working with Hugh on surety clients, taking over distressed projects, getting it completed, dealing with bond claims, things like that. Besides my regular practice, which was doing a lot of insurance defense work. So I kind of split my time doing both. And as I matured as a lawyer, I got more into the surety side and started developing the construction side of it. So at this point in time, we're primarily a construction related practice group. We do some surety work, but we've transitioned over the years to primarily the construction side.
Oh, that's awesome. I know you mentioned earlier that before your law firm became Frost Brown Todd, it had a different name. So, and you also said that you basically had the same job your whole life, which is really awesome that you've been able to do that. It means you really enjoy it. which is great. But when you first got into law, what made you want to join the team at the law firm that's now called Frost, Brown, Todd? And I guess in other words, what, attracted you to want to work for them?
When we were at Lock Reynolds, we were about 85 lawyers, or 80 lawyers at the time of the merger. And we were a very collegial group that practiced together. Some of my best friends were people I practiced law with. And so when we were looking at merger partners, that was very important that we have that culture continue, this collegiality and teamwork and those types of aspects. And Frost, Brown, Todd really fit that bill as far as being a collegial firm that works together for the good of their clients and approaches things from a team approach to solve the client's problems. And so they were a real natural for us once we started discussions with the Frost, Brown, Todd team, because it seemed to be a very good mesh of cultures and the way we viewed the practice of law.
That's awesome. I know with any of the other conversations like this that I've had with people in other parts of this industry, one of the number one things that they say that they like about highway construction is just the camaraderie between everyone with teamwork and the relationships. So that's really great to hear that about Frost, Brown, Todd. Do you have a favorite part of your job in highway construction law, Frost, Brown, Todd, that you'd like to share?
Yeah, it's the variety, Julia, of what I do. Depending on the day or the project or the week or the month, I do a variety of different things, which I enjoy. I counsel clients. I do some transactional work. I do claims review. I do risk mitigation and avoidance. I do litigation. So I don't have a typical day. It really varies depending on the client and the project.
Awesome. See, that's a good thing about highway construction. It's not boring, which is really good. I guess I'd like to, learn more about you individually, and then also I think it would help also to learn more about you individually when it comes to students, because I know some students will also be watching this conversation between us. So I know you said that you've been at the same law firm throughout your career, but if you want to go ahead and kind of tell everyone your career journey, kind of where it started to where you got to now. So whether that's, where you went to school, when you decided that you wanted to practice law, and then how you got to the position that you're in now.
Yeah. I did my undergrad at a small college over in Ohio called Denison University.
I've actually heard of that college.
It's Steve Carell went there. That's why people remember. And Julie Garner went there also. So we have that claim to fame. But we had what's called a January term, where you could either do something on campus between semesters or design something. And I always thought that law may be something that I may want to get into, because I love to read. It's not the argument side. I love to read. I love to analyze things and solve problems. So I did a January term, created it with a law firm in Indianapolis, and spent the month of January, back in the 70s, just observing what they do, going to court with some of the lawyers, sitting on meetings, things like that. And that kind of got the hook into me about wanting to go to law school.
That's awesome. Yeah, I went to IUPUI where I went to school, and when my brother was in college, he went to Franklin, and they had a January term too. And I always kind of envied him that they got that, because that was a really awesome thing that you got that month to either take a class or do some type of internship. And then that left your summer open to do more things. So that's really great that you had that opportunity to do that. I know that you mentioned that your days are pretty much always different and never really the same. But do you have a certain way that you do your day-to-day in your position? I know currently with everything COVID going on, a lot of people have been working from home. So pre-COVID pandemic, I guess explain to everyone, kind of what your typical day-to-day is like.
Well, I thought about that earlier, and I like to do on Friday afternoons, look back at my calendar and see how it
Mhm.
changed from Monday when I walked in, because we deal in an industry where emergencies come up or issues come up where
Mhm.
clients need to have something right away. And so my week, when I look back, really is not the week that I'd planned for, depending
Mhm.
on the emergencies that rise, et cetera. But we have, I have regularly scheduled meetings internally as far as management, things like that with practice group that I work around. So I have some regularly set things, but otherwise, on the litigation side, you get case plans where you have dates set out way in advance and you pencil those in, mediation dates, hearing dates, things like that. Pleadings do. And so those go into the calendar. And those are
Mhm.
hard dates unless they're moved. And then I work around those to fill in meetings that arise, uh, and calls, conference calls. Um, right now, Zoom meetings rather than any in-person meetings. Although our office is back and up and
Mhm.
running, it's behind our closed door. We can take our mask off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been different for sure. Because I mean, like with my job with ICI, I'm used to being out in front of people. I know the weirdest thing for me is usually I will have coffee meetings. So typically, like this conversation that we're having now, I'd usually do over coffee or something like that. So it was really weird during, like, what was it, from the first week of March until now, I haven't sat in a coffee shop, which is very weird for my day to day because everything's done virtually. But I love that we have the opportunity to do things virtually and still, get to meet people over the computer and everything.
But it's not quite like being there. I enjoy going to clients'
Yeah.
offices. Enjoy going to do like a breakfast or a lunch and learn. They
Yeah.
have issues or something and do teaching. And those things I really enjoy about the practice. And
Mhm.
you get to hear questions and issues that come up, and you can deal directly with the clients. So I really miss not having those opportunities right now because of
Yeah.
the partial lockdown.
Yeah. What would you say is or has been the most rewarding thing about your job in working in highway construction?
Um, Besides the variety of the people I deal,
Hmm.
opportunity to deal with everybody from CEO down to the laborer, and it's a fascinating, wonderful group of people.
Hmm.
There's they're just they're people who put it all out there, and they have to perform under extreme circumstances,
Hmm.
the weather, and days under stress. And they're just a group of marvelous people who get up every day and do what they need to do to get the job done.
Hmm. What would you say would be your number one skill set that you must have to succeed in your role as a lawyer within the highway construction industry?
Well, you have to be a good listener,
Hmm.
and you have to be able to hear all sides of an argument or positions in order to analyze the issues and effectively advise your clients. And it takes
Hmm.
patience too. That sometimes um, the what you want to rush into is not exactly what the law will allow. So you
Hmm.
need to sometimes sit back and let things unfold in order to make sure you don't prejudice yourself in any position.
Hmm. Um, so like I said earlier, this would be a, video that some students will be, looking and watching and learning from. And I know a lot of times in high school, which I know when I was in high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do in my adult life.
Nor was I.
So I was one of the people, just like you, that took the college route and figured out my way of life through college. But looking back when you were younger, if you could think of any advice that you would have given to your younger self, what would that be that would, possibly help you now in your adult life in your current role?
I've always been big on being a volunteer.
Mhm.
And so I would tell my younger self to maybe perhaps do even more of it as a
Mhm.
younger person, especially what I do now. I think it's important for lawyers to know their client's business, to know what they're doing, to be involved with groups like ICI, to understand the
Mhm.
current issues facing the industry, so you can ably advise your clients, to develop context, because everybody's different. Clients have different ways they approach
Yeah.
problems. And so there's no one set way to do things. So you have to be flexible too. But it gets back to being a good volunteer and being a good listener.
Awesome. And then if a student or somebody asked you as a lawyer why they should choose a career path in highway construction, whether that's going right into the field right after school, joining a union, or if that's going the college route and deciding to be an engineer or work in accounting or law or just any part of the industry, what advice would you give them, or what would you tell them to encourage them to continue on going on that path to highway construction?
To follow your passion, because you have to enjoy what you do. I've been lucky that I've always had extreme job satisfaction. And so I think you have to find something that you like to do and make sure your skill set aligns with that, and then pursue that passion. As I always tell my kids, always have options. If you have a passion, pursue that, but make sure you have options also as far as pursuing that passion. So I think it's important. It's an important thing is you have to enjoy what you do.
Yeah, for sure. And I enjoy what I do. I love being able to, like I said, meet with people, even though now it's virtually, and just get to know them a little bit more. So thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to talk with me about Frost Brown Todd, what they do, and especially yourself. And I got to learn a little bit more about you. And I know students and ICI members will enjoy watching this. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Julia. Have a good morning.